Hi, my name is Julio, and my teacher is Pérez de José Luis. And now I'm going to talk about the South American immigrants these days. At the end of the 19th century and during the first third of the 20th century, South America became a permanent destination region for migration mainly from Europe, China, and Japan. The economic depression that the West was experiencing, that the European wars and the reminiscence of the ancient metropolises made the South American countries the destination chosen by millions of people who were looking for a more prosperous future, since they felt desperate due to the situation they were going through. It was from the 1960 when the sign of the migratory current was reversed, turning the countries of the region into a place of origin of a large part of the immigrants. If it at the end of the 12th century, 20th century, an increase in this flow has already persisted. The data show that it is from the year 2000 and during the first decade of the century when a massive movement of immigrants takes place during this period. In Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Peru, and Venezuela, the number of immigrants grew between 50 and 100%, while in Ecuador, Paraguay, and Bolivia it increased more than 100%. According to the 12 1219 BBA Research, Migration, and Remittances Yearbook. In addition to destinations such as Spain, Italy, or the United States, South America immigration has a large and heterogeneous component, with Argentina and Brazil being the countries that receive the most immigrants from the neighbor countries. The total number of immigrant population from South America among the 12 million people, of which 7 million has Colombia, Brazil, Peru, and Ecuador as countries of origin. As a consequence, these four countries there were main recipients of remittances in 2018, adding $1 million during this past year. In terms of annual GDP, Bolivia and Ecuador are the ones that are most dependent of the money they receive from their compatriots. In total, the region received more than 18.5 billion and a half dollars worth of remittances. And now we can see a photo or a map of South America. Argentina. Argentina is a country that has significant flow both of immigrants and immigrants mainly from Paraguay, Bolivia, Chile, and Peru. The Argentine population abroad resides mainly in Spain and the United States, and it total represents 2.2% of all Argentines. On the other hand, immigrants reach 4.9% of the resident population in Argentina. And now we can be the total immigrants and the percent share of population. That is 4.9%. And the chart come from remittances in Colombia. And remittances as the percent of GDP in 2019. Brazil. The Brazilian diaspora has been growing gradually in the last 50 years. In 2017, United Nations data showed that more than 1.5 million Brazilians live outside their country, mainly in the United States and Portugal, despite the fact that the total volume of Brazilians who have immigrated represents 0.8% of this population. Income remittances only represent 0.1% of GDP. Colombia. Colombia immigration has lived through different cycles since the beginning of the 19th century. The United States, Venezuela, and Spain have been the countries that have welcomed the most Colombian immigrants, and their remittances are at 2% of the country's total GDP. Ecuador. Between the years 200 and 205, Ecuador probably represents the period of the greatest growth in the immigrant population in this story. increased by 122% and hosts many destinations were the United States and Spain last year. Ecuador received $3 million from its countrymen, almost 3% of GDP. And there is a map, main destination countries for Ecuadorian immigrants. And immigrants have a percentage population that was 6.8%. Bolivia, like Ecuador during the first 5 years of the 21st century, Bolivia suffered an increase of 127 in its immigration percent, with Argentina, Spain, and the United States being the preferred destinations. And now is a chart income from remittances in Bolivia and remittances of a percent of a GDP in 2018. And that's all. Thanks.